Good morning. A beautiful morning. That wonderful contrast with the dark hills and a little cloud. And here the sun, and there's so many people already. Just turned it on. Welcome. Here we are live streaming sunrise, Stroll Chat and Share at Magdala on the Sea of Galilee. Welcome home, family. It's getting better by the second. I think we're going to go over here near Soter. Because I want to show you a little piece of cloud that's further up there to the north, if it's still lit up the way I saw it a moment ago. Just bear with me here. Yeah, it's not as red as it was. Yes, there in the distance, that was all red a moment ago, but it's fading. So, right behind this leaning palm tree, oh, there we got some of the birds. Just at the level of the hills there of the Mount of Beatitudes, and behind that leaning palm tree is Mount Hermon. Obviously, we can't see it right now. The joy of a new day. I'm impressed with how many people are following here and also have practical tips. Like somebody said yesterday, and forgive me not remembering the name at this early hour of the morning here, but he said, or she said, that it's a good idea to press those hearts. So thank you for that, because those hearts are getting apparently they affect the calculations of Facebook of the merit of the thing. And then it gets promoted and more people get to see this joy. So all the sharing and hearts and likes you do, he said that they are more important, I think it was a he, than even the likes. But all the shares and the likes and the hearts, all these things reach people. And they get people involved. Some people are very sad and very depressed, understandably, in this time, very challenged, and let's give them a little joy. Soter is busy down here. I don't know if you can see her. Come on, Soter, where are you? She was poking at the water there. I don't know what she was after. She didn't like us talking about her there. Aren't that beautiful reflections here? But let's go for the real light. Take it in, people, soak it up. Welcome, Jerusalem. This is one of Soter's favourite pastimes. The sun is hitting her perfectly right now. She thinks she's on camera. I think that must be it. So that's where I go to swim every morning after I'm through with this wonderful task of reaching all of you here and allowing you to connect here to the Sea of Galilee. Isn't that nice there, the sun coming up behind that plant? Hey Borneo, East Malaysia. You know, I never thought I'd be talking to somebody in Borneo and at the same time somebody in Australia, at the same time somebody in Alaska, and at the same time somebody in Mexico. Come on, how do you do that? When we were children, who would have dreamt of this magical world? Imagine what's going to be like in heaven. A magic that we have no idea. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard any birds like we're going to hear in heaven. Any wonders like we're going to see in heaven. You know, we wake up at night time from the dark and we hit a day like this, and that's going to be what it's like going to heaven, like just a little shadow of what it's going to be like in heaven. So here we are with our reading for the sunrise stroll and chat at Magdala. And we're starting this story that kind of got started yesterday, but it's now, let's say, the figures are coming into place for a major moment of drama. It's absolutely wonderful. It's Acts of the Apostles, chapter 25. And the headline here of the reading in the liturgy is, Jesus was dead, whom Paul claimed to be alive. So here you're obviously talking about somebody who's talking about somebody. So King Agrippa and Bernice, King Agrippa and Bernice. Well, Agrippa is the grandson of Herod the Great. And maybe you saw the series I, Claudius, the Emperor of Rome, the unlikely to be Emperor of Rome, who became Emperor of Rome. And he was a childhood playmate of King Agrippa. Fascinating, the Herod Agrippa. The Herods for 3 generations were walking in and out of the White House in Rome like they were part of it. Herod the Great, and he built Caesarea. So imagine his relationship with Augustus Caesar, the time of the birth of Christ, before that. And then you have Herod Antipas, and he builds Tiberias right here. Let's look at it. And he makes it his new capital of Galilee, and he calls it after the emperor, calls it Tiberias. It's right there on that hill. Let me blow it up for you in case you don't believe me. So people from Borneo to Alaska can see it at the same time. Look at that. That's Tiberias, the modern Tiberias. The old Tiberias is just beyond that. About another half a mile or less than a mile. It's an hour walking from here. And then we have Herod Agrippa, who was a childhood friend of Claudius, and historians speculate that if it weren't for Herod Agrippa, that Claudius would never have been emperor. Imagine making the emperor in Rome, an emperor maker. And then Herod Agrippa gets named king here, obviously a little favour from Claudius to him. And so this is Herod Agrippa. And Herod Agrippa and Bernice arrived in Caesarea, this incredibly busy port, the most beautiful port of the Roman Empire. When you come here to the Holy Land, you got to visit it, and sometimes you have an hour and a half for it, but really you need a half a day. There's so much to see there. And big Roman amphitheater. And so they spent several days there, because it's a lovely place. They have the amphitheater, they had the sports, they had the events, the cultural events. It was like the capital for the Romans. Jerusalem was symbolically important, but Caesarea was where it's at. And since they spent several days there, and Festus referred Paul's case to King Agrippa. Paul, our Paul of the Acts of the Apostles, Paul of all the letters. And Festus is the new governor. And he says, the procurator probably, there is a man here left in custody in prison by Felix. That was his predecessor. While I was in Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews brought charges against him and demanded his condemnation. I answered them that it was not Roman practice to hand over an accused person before he has faced his accusers and had the opportunity to defend himself against their charge. Now that's an interesting literary testimony to a great understanding of Western culture about Roman law. Roman law was an incredible contribution to society. And you remember Paul also appealing as a Roman citizen, he couldn't be scourged, for example. He couldn't scourge a Roman citizen. They had rights. And so I answered them that it was not Roman practice to hand over an accused before he had a trial. So when they came together here, I made no delay. The next day I took my seat on the tribunal and ordered the man to be brought in. His accusers stood around him, but they did not charge him with any of the crimes I suspected. Instead, they had some issues with him about their own religion, those Jewish people, and about a certain Jesus who had died. But who Paul claimed was alive. So this is a Roman procurator talking to King Agrippa, some years afterwards. Since I was at a loss how to investigate this controversy, I asked if he were willing to go to Jerusalem and there stand trial on these charges. When Paul appealed that he be held in custody for the emperor's decision, I ordered him held until I could send him to Caesar. That's the end of the reading for today. I'm going to leave it like this, guys. I want you to go and read that chapter yourselves. And Acts 25 and read 26 and read 27. It's just fascinating drama. It's hard to get Shakespeare better than this. It's amazing. It's really amazing. The drama of the history of salvation. And it's a little bit our drama. Each one of us has our drama. This is our lives. The dramas of life and the involvement of God's hand in our lives. We have these beautiful serene moments when we relax, but there are other moments that are very dramatic, very challenging. Sometimes there are big power players making decisions behind the scenes, and we have to live with them. Paul is down in the dungeon there in that same building where Herod and Festus are talking, and he has no say in the matter. Now the cloud you're looking at is actually up above us, it's not down below us. But this is just its reflection, as you figured out. You won't believe this. I'm going down to that cloud again for another reason. Look at this cloud here. This cloud is down below us. Look at those two thistles here. Pretty dried up. And the psalm is Psalm 103. And verse 19a has this line: "The Lord has established his throne in heaven." And we're looking up to this cloud in the heavens, and this is nothing. This is like the rug level at the first step of the stairs. And of course, we know that God isn't just up there somewhere between two stars in the sky, but we also have the scripture where that Jesus raised his eyes to heaven and prayed to the Father. So that symbolism is important. It's helpful to raise our eyes up to the Creator. But we can also look through into an atom and find the Creator, and beyond the stars and find the Creator. And at this beautiful sunrise and find the Creator. The Lord has established his throne in heaven. You know, there's another line as well in Psalm, I think it's Psalm 2, right? The kings of the earth make their plans, and God in heaven laughs. The Lord has established his throne in heaven. Bless the Lord, O my soul. And all my being, bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. For as the heavens are high above the earth. Yeah, try and get up to those clouds, people. Not even a drone. Not even one of those, what do you call them, gliders, will get up to those clouds. But an airplane will. And a satellite will go outside of space. For as the heavens are high above the earth, so surpassing is his kindness toward those who fear him. Fear in the sense of that great reverence, that great awe, that great respect before his majesty. So far as the east is from the west, and the setting sun in California is toward the west, and this sun is shining in at us over Syria, here in to Israel, to the Holy Land. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he put our transgressions from us, a God of forgiveness. And today is Friday, the last Friday of Easter. And Fridays always remind us a little bit of Calvary, of Good Friday. So far has he put our transgressions from us. The Lord has established his throne in heaven, and his kingdom rules over all. The kings of the earth make their plans, but God in heaven laughs. And it could even be the plans of the king or the queen of the kitchen. And he or she makes their plans, and God in heaven is laughing because it's going to be much better than they're worried about. Or as sure as they are to be able to do something exactly the way they want, it mightn't turn out that way. There's a famous historical case of the use of that text, and it was in the 1930s. And it was a terrible time in Europe, and people were seeing where it was going. And Pope Pius XI was Pope, and he signed off on an encyclical. Let me start walking a little bit, okay? And the actual person who helped to write that encyclical, because it was about matters in Germany, was the papal nuncio, and his name was Pacelli. And he actually, look at the light here with this cloud. He saw the dark clouds coming in Europe, and he obviously recommended to Pope Pius XI to write this encyclical, and it was about Nazism. And the opening line was amazing. The name of the encyclical in German is Mit brennender Sorge, with burning concern. And the next line was with burning concern. We're watching the events unfold in Germany, and the letter quotes Psalm 2. The kings of the earth make their plans, and God in heaven laughs. And this caused such anger in Hitler that actually he took an extreme measure against the church, because he recognized the voice of the church and he wanted to silence it. But he wasn't able, and the amazing thing was that letter was read in every single church in Germany at every single Mass on that Sunday, before the intelligence service of the Nazi regime realized what was going on. So it meant that the church had a means of internal communication that was beyond the reach of Hitler, and a totalitarian regime cannot tolerate that. But that was probably one of the most dramatic moments of the use of that line, at least in modern history, if not in all of history. And today I remember that as well, with a special word of affection for all the Jewish people who last night started the celebration of Shavuot, the week of weeks, the feast of weeks of the 7 weeks, 7 sevens 49, Pentecost 50. So it's the date for our Pentecost as Christians. Kind of strange weather at the end of May to have these heavy clouds. Somebody said there was some rain in Tiberias yesterday morning. So let's come down to our favorite little spot here that everybody loves. So we have always this stroll part in our sunrise stroll and chat here at the Sea of Galilee at Magdala. Oh, I'm going to stop here for a moment and then maybe I'll change again. I just see something very beautiful. Bear with me. You can rest now, and you can loosen your seatbelt. Good morning, everybody. We're in Magdala on the Sea of Galilee at Sunrise Stroll and Chat. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And we're actually wrapping it up a little bit. We have a few moments to comment on the Gospel passage. There was a lot of activity here yesterday. Can you believe it? There were horses here yesterday. You can see their footprints here. Let me show you. So there were horses walking along here. Obviously they got something to drink, so it's a little bit ploughed up here. People came in on horseback. So we have this calm here, and somebody has asked for prayers for Minnesota where there's civil unrest. We pray in these difficult times that people don't abuse the misery and the needs of others, that due order can be kept while the needs of the people are served and taken care of. We need to pray a lot for those in authority and for those who have levers to move other people, that true justice and true peace, with great patience and hard work, will be the goals of all people who move others to actions. It's amazing how fragile our societies are, and we think everything is hunky-dory. We're living here in a volcanic area, in an earthquake area. It's not overly active, but we're in the intersection of two major plates, tectonic plates, the Arabian plate and the African plate. And so this is why the Jordan Valley is so deep, the deepest valley on earth, and we're here. And the same thing in society, there are deep plates moving, deep interests. And we need to pray that people will act with mercy and with compassion and with understanding, with prudence for the consequences of their actions and their words. So much is at stake. I realize the time is running out on me. But the gospel today is, jump forward to chapter 21, it's Jesus' conversation with Peter at the primacy and the apparition after Easter. And he asked the famous 3 questions to Peter: do you love me? I'm going to have to leave the rest of this for the Mass to comment on this. Feed my lambs and feed my sheep. So it's a good line to think of all the politicians as well, the leadership role they have in the society, that they act with the interest of the people. Love is mutual, the mutuality of love. And so we yesterday arrived at the love of the Trinity toward us, and now we see the response: do you love me, Peter? Feed my lambs, feed my sheep. So we have lots to pray about and ponder. God bless you. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure, another delightful morning here of sunrise chat and stroll and share at the Sea of Galilee. God bless you. Keep us in your prayers, and we look forward to moving into full celebration of Pentecost. See you later.